Shalom, Kahala Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, Ba'Shem Rakokwadash. Double honors my teachers, the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and mercy to the elect, who the house of David be born again in this generation. And Shalom to the 130 Yasharallah, who today we're known as the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, who before losing our true heritage, we were known as, and still are, the true Hebrew Israelites of the Holy Bible. In today's lesson, we're going to talk about the info war that's going to escalate on the truth, right? And the disinformation that will follow. But let's read this first. This is Amos 8 and 11. Behold, the days come, saith Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai power, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor a thirst for water, but of hearing the words of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. So just the other day, I noticed a pattern in the news feed that I normally watch, and that's that there was a recurring pattern of a narrative basically talking about how misinformation or the increased misinformation online is becoming a very big problem, right? Like here, for example, CNET did a piece. It says misinformation has pushed American democracy to the brink, from former CISA chief says. Erosion in confidence in democracy could potentially catastrophic, Chris Krebs says. So this is basically talking about how, because we're coming up on elections, that we're going to see a lot of misinformation and basically lies and fake news about elections, right? And I could only imagine the reason why they're saying this is because people are realizing that these elections that are being held here in America, which biblically are known as Babylon the Great, they're a bunch of shams, right? Just today, that famous Instagram lady, Nina the New Yorker or something like that, or Nadia the New Yorker, she basically, told her large audience that they need to start boycotting the New York City mayoral election because of, of how what's going on over there in New York City. Now, also I'm seeing other people talking about how they're just not going to participate in future elections, right? They're going to boycott the entire process. Now, politically speaking, that's a very smart move, because that's probably the only true power that voters have, is to basically not participate, right? And let these devils who have rigged these elections try to explain why one candidate has won over the other, right? Now, us Israelites, we are not to participate in any elections or any of that type of stuff. So says the Bible, right? We're not supposed to elect anybody over us Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans who is not of our kin, right? And this currently is the land of the Edomites, and this is why we're not to be placing them over us. Here's another information from this The Atlantic, which is basically, it's a globalist news agency, right? They post a lot of shit from Mary Kissinger and other globalists. And right here, this is the former Google CEO, Michael Schmidt, I think. It says, Eric Schmidt. It says, misinformation is about to get so much worse. A conversation with the former Google CEO, Eric Schmidt. And he basically goes on and he says that with the advancements in AI technology, that not only does the AI technology benefit society, but it's also going to end up benefiting people who are spreading misinformation online. And because of it, that society needs to come up with some way to basically keep this misinformation offline, right? So you see these devils, they're building a narrative that misinformation is an issue, right? And you could tell they're coming from the same cloth, right? This is why they're using similar words, narratives, things like watershed moments, misinformation, all this type of stuff. See, because what they're doing is they're now giving an excuse or creating an excuse or creating that narrative, right? The Hegelian dialectic, where they create a problem that causes a reaction from us, and they then miraculously come out with the solution, right? Which they had set up this whole time. Well, what is that solution going to be? Well, we'll get into it in just a moment, but let's read this. This is Daniel's 8:25. And through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. Right? This ultimately talks about how these Edomites, these devils that run the world, right? Edom or Edomite is just a biblical name for the so-called Caucasian race, right? Well, it tells you here, man, that that through their policy. Now, what is their policy, right? That ultimately is all this legislature and bureaucracy that they are, pushing out through the world, including the soon-to-come anti-free speech rhetoric, man, and laws that are going to be passed. Because right now, it's just these private companies who are putting the smackdown on free speech, right? It tells you here, it says YouTube is banning prominent anti-jab activists and blocking all anti-jab content, right? And I'm not talking about just your average Facebook, mom who doesn't want to get jabbed up, man. We're talking about people like Robert F. Kennedy, right? This man he's a great man when it comes to speaking the truth, right? Other people like Joseph Mercola, right? And these are people who actually have status in Esau society, man. These are people who understand what's really going on. They actually are trying to fight for freedom for the people, but see, they don't realize what's really going on, right? See, they're fighting the fight that this isn't legal and it isn't fair. But you see, what they don't realize is that the devil that runs the world is trying to push forward his agenda, and what he's doing is he's now breaking his own laws and basically just rushing this thing because he has something he has to accomplish, and that is to chip the entire world, right? And to ultimately prepare himself or prepare the world to be against the Messiah when the Messiah soon returns, right? But the point being is that now that the narrative of misinformation is becoming more of an issue now, so much so that it's going to, like as Eric Schmidt said, it's going to get much worse, right, soon, right, with the help of AI, and that it's going to, like this other guy said, that it's going to start affecting the election process, right? Well, what do they need to do? Well, the solution that they're going to bring out is that they're going to basically just start banning people who go against the mainstream narrative, right? This includes with jabs, with elections, with people's rights, right? One thing I want you to, let's actually read this, because it tells you, it says, truly on free speech immunity, YouTube bans channels airing criticisms of jabs, right? And we'll just read this first part, but there's a part at the bottom I really want to get into to show you that America has changed, man, and it is no longer the land of free speech, right? Because again, they're ultimately shutting down Babylon the Great and getting ready for war. The article reads, YouTube continued the expansion of corporate censorship on the internet with the encouragement of leading Democratic leaders. The company has banned channels associated with anti-jab activists like Joseph Mercola and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Once again, Rather than rebutting or refuting claims made by others, many sought to silence those with opposing views. YouTube will not allow people to hear views that do not comport with the approved range of opinions. Let me read that again. YouTube will not allow people to hear views that do not comport with approved range of opinions. So there you go. This is the new world we live in. This is the craft which these devils are going to make prosper, right? They're going to bring forward these lies as the truth. Let's go ahead and continue. The move magnifies concerns that we are seeing the emergence of a new type of state media as private companies conduct censorship operations barred by the Constitution of the government to conduct directly. And that's true, man, because you see, everybody's worried that the government was going to come and stop free speech, or they were going to come and do certain things or require you to do things. But no, man, what's happened is that these devils in charge, not only do they run the government, but they also run these mass multinational corporations, which, you know, they ended up setting up to do exactly this. When you look into the history of Google, it was pretty much was set up by the world elitists. Same thing with Facebook. It was helped set up by the CIA. And YouTube was purchased by Google, which was, again, it's all Edom at the very top. So again, they're using these large corporations to basically push forward their craft, right? Let's continue. It says, the move comes days after Senator Elizabeth Warren, a Democrat from Massachusetts, asked Amazon to steer customers to true books on subjects like climate change to avoid their exposure to disinformation. It also follows YouTube censoring videos of jailed Kremlin critic Alexei Navalny before Russia's parliamentary elections. The move helped Putin and his authoritarian government crack down on pro-democracy forces. The Google-owned site is now openly engaged in Viewpoint Regulation. Is openly engaged in Viewpoint Regulation. You see, so these devils, they're modifying the narrative that is being pushed on YouTube, right? They want to. This is why you're seeing so many videos banned from the brothers, right? I just had a video taken down yesterday that I had to upload it on my BitChute account, right? And again, this is because these devils don't want this truth to come out, that the Caucasian race is the Edomites, that the elites are basically going into shutdown mode, and they're basically getting ready for the second coming of the Messiah, and that they're ultimately trying to chip everybody in the world, and that these jabs are just a part of that, man. See, these are the truths that are just some of the truths that they're trying to hide, right? And it's becoming so blatant now that they can't hide it. So much so that they're just, not even trying to hide it. They're just being blatant about it and bringing it out publicly what they're doing, and they're pushing it as a feature and not a problem. Openly engaged in Viewpoint Regulation to force users to view only those sources that are consistent with the corporate agenda. Facebook banned misinformation on all jab 7 months ago, and Twitter regularly bans those questioning jabs. These companies are being encouraged by many on the left to expand censorship, right? And this here, right, the people on the left, when you hear about forums and people like these fake ghost accounts talking about, or they're like pushing things to be done. A lot of these are ghost accounts, man. They're basically some little Asian person sitting in a room with other little Asian people, in front of like 30 different phones, right? And basically, posting up these false comments or it's going to be like a Mossad agent or a FBI, CIA agent who's doing this themselves, man. Right? It's been shown that the military and not only America's but Israel's Mossad has a special internet department, man, where they actually have multiple accounts that they could go through and create all these ghost accounts to vote things up, to spread misinformation. But you can know who these accounts are, man. They're the ones that have nothing on them, and they're always saying stupid shit, right? So it's obvious, man, that the media that is being consumed in America is coerced. It's controlled propaganda, right? And this right here is only basically highlighting. Faculty and editors are now actively supporting modern versions of book burning with blacklists and bans for those with opposing political views. Columbia Journalism School Dean Steve Cole has denounced the weaponization of free speech. And there you go. You see Esau, because his gift is the sword, he weaponizes everything that he needs to make useful, right? And right now, he's weaponized free speech, right? He makes it seem like people are begging for certain things, certain rights, but what it does is that, like for example, the bullying thing online. People weren't getting bullied, man, but you see, these devils had to create that narrative so that way they could go ahead and crack down on people speaking truths, right? It says, which appear to be the use of free speech by those on the right. So the dean of one of the premier journalism schools now supports censorship. Here he goes. Now this is the part I wanted to read, right? It says, free speech advocates are facing a generational shift. You see that? Because Esau is changing the society. He is changing the way America is ran, right? Like, this is ultimately the new world order that's coming through now. Right? This is why you're seeing communist, socialist views being pushed in America now, and it's going through like the colleges first, and eventually it's going to go out to the people, because these people in college are going to be tomorrow's adults, man. But we're not even going to get there, because again, the end of the world is going to come way before these college kids grow up, right? But just to show you what a devil these Edomites are, man, that this is what they're doing. They're changing over America underneath the American citizens' noses, and they don't even realize it, man, while they're paying for their kids to go to college to be basically communists, man. Continuing, free speech advocates are facing a generational shift that is now being reflected in our law schools, where free speech principles were once a touchstone of the rule of law. As millions of students are taught that free speech is a threat. Did you hear that? As millions of students are taught that free speech is a threat and that China is right about censorship. These figures are shaping a new society in their own intolerant images. All right, so you see this, and I'm going to just stop there, man. But this is ultimately what's coming, and this, and the reason why this is coming, it's not because these devils want to ultimately stop somebody from, revealing some political, bombshell about some politician that's been bought out and sold out, years ago. No, man. The reason why this is ultimately being implemented is because the Lord is putting it on the spirit of these devils to start to shut down this information, the internet as we know it, right? Pretty soon, you're going to need, as Eric Schmidt here said, let's go back, what did he say? Watermark. He says, one of them, by the way, just to digress technically, is that the information is not watermarked in such a way that we know its origins. It is relatively easy for an industry as a whole to start by saying, where did this information actually come from? And you know what that means, people? That means that they are now going, just like China, they now are going to they're going to implement some sort of internet driver's license, or like what Australia just implemented, the 100-point verification system, which if you want to go online on a social media site, you have to provide 100 points of identification, so that way they know who you are. So if you're spreading misinformation, that information is going to be watermarked with your user account, and that way they can track it back to you. You see these devils, man? Well, the thing is with their censorship, they basically pissed off Russia, right? Because you see Russia, because they're going against Esau over here in America, they tend to feel a certain way about what Esau's doing over here, man, right? You see, Russia is the natural adversary to America, right? These are the two two siblings who are bickering, right? The Lord has put it on their spirit for Russia and America to constantly be at war with each other, man, right? If it's not a Cold War, it's going to eventually turn into a real war, right? This is that whole scripture about Satan versus Satan. That's what this is, right? But let's just see what Russia says. It says, declaration of media war. Russia threatens total ban on YouTube after major channels deleted. Right? It says the Kremlin on Wednesday slammed YouTube for unwarranted censorship and media obstruction after the day prior a Google-owned video hosting platform suddenly blocked 2 German RT channels, including RT Deutsch, which was competing for traffic with major German news and politics channels. YouTube said that Russia's state media channels had breached its C-19 disinformation policies. At the time it was blocked, RT Deutsch had over 600,000 subscribers and was approaching 600 million total views. According to Russian media reports, of course, there are signs that Russian laws have been violated very rudely, as this, of course, is associated with censorship and with obstruction of the media information dissemination, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said. So you see, even Russia's calling out the censorship that's going on right now, man. You see, this is ultimately what's going on, because like I said, the Lord is bringing forth a famine of this word, because pretty soon we're not going to be able to make these videos or speak truth to power, right? You're not going to be able to hear us explain how certain world events are tying into the scripture of prophecy, right? Only type of videos you're going to get about the Bible are all these phony Christian, Baptist, Pentecostal, vocab Malone type of videos, man, which basically tell you how you should feel and they give you a bunch of religious gibberish, man. But again, this is so that way the Lord can cut this truth off of the 2/3 and those people who are not meant to get it, right? So but until then, the Lord is going to bring it on these devils, spirits, so that way they bring out all these lies and misinformation. That misinformation is starting to become a problem, right? See, and ultimately the reason why misinformation is becoming a problem is because the truth is being revealed, and these devils are trying to hide from the truth, right? They're trying to hide it by burying the truth amongst other useless facts or other lies. They're trying to ban videos, close accounts, and now they're going to just start whole banning accounts and whole sections of sites now, man. This is John 8:44. Ye are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. Now, this ultimately was talking about the 2/3 of our people who are acting rebellious, and we're just being, just being the 2/3, right? Being wicked as the 2/3 naturally are, right? But this also applies to these Edomites who are the children of Satan, man. They are the physical manifestation of Satan here on earth, man. And what are they doing? Right? They are doing the lust of the fathers, right? They're basically doing the will of their father being Satan, right? And that Satan does not abode in the truth, which means there's no truth in Satan, man. You ever heard that famous saying, man? Satan is the devil is a lie. Well, that's exactly what it is, man. These devils are going to lie their ass off to get you to believe that misinformation and conspiracy facts are in fact the problem. So much so that they're going to change your internet, and you're no longer going to find these videos. And with that, let me read this, and then we'll get out of here. This is Isaiah 55:6. Seek ye Yahweh Bashim Yashai while he may be found. Call ye upon him while he is near. And that's right now, man. Right here with us brothers here at Great Millstone, preaching this truth, telling you to repent, that you Negro, Latino, Native Americans are the true Israelites of the Holy Bible, and that you need to leave your religious churches and all that folly, and you need to basically just read the Bible and get back to your true heritage. Right? We are, here on doing the Lord's will, man. So we're doing what the Lord has prophesied he would do at the end days, man. That he would raise up the prophets to bring his people back to repentance, and that's what we're telling you, man. That now is the time to come back to the Lord, because pretty soon the Lord's going to go ahead and turn this truth off to where we can't make these videos, where we won't be able to go out on the streets, and at that point it's going to basically be every Israelite for himself. Those who have managed to study and receive this truth, they're going to get it, and they're going to have that to go through all the coming devastation that's going to soon be upon the earth. Those who are messing around thought to themselves that they'll get into this later when they have time, or they're going to go and sow their wild oats and then they'll come and do this. Those people are going to be left out high and dry, man. You're only going to find random old videos here and there, things that are like not relative to current events, or you'll find some false, GOCC or IUIC videos, which are totally bugged out, man. And then you're just going to be in a pitiful case. Right? Verse 7, let the wicked forsake his way, and the unrighteous man his thoughts, and let him return unto Yahweh Bashim Hashai, and he will have mercy upon him, and to our power, for he will abundantly pardon. Right? So this is the time, people, to return to the Lord, right? Because it's whatever you've done, whatever you think that you're doing good, man, if you're not into this truth, if you're not into the Bible, you're just not going to have it, man. Like, you don't have it, right? Because the truth is, man, is that you're not going to get away from the devastation that's coming unless the Lord's on your side, right? And this is ultimately going to all start with the famine of the word, which, as you just, as I just read to you in some of these articles, is soon coming upon us, okay? So hopefully this video was edifying. Until the next time, I want to give all praises to Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai, Al-Shim Dash, double honors to my teachers, the apostles and elders of the Great Millstone. Peace and mercy to the elect. Shalom.